Zen Master now 4 games away from his 6th NBA championship. We join Phil Jackson.
Not a lot of turnovers, but not great shooting game, for us at least. Tony Kukoc was really the guy that stepped up big for us in this game. Steve Kerr coming off the bench, got his open looks, we got him the ball. And we were able to shut their bench down. I think that was the difference in the game tonight.
Phil, all the times you see Michael, could you categorize this for us in terms of just difficulty for him? I mean, how hard he had to work to get done, what he got done, the whole line.
Yeah, he had to play an exceptional game, hard game. We wanted to take the ball aggressively to the basket. It paid some dividends. We got to the free throw line. We weren't that successful from the free throw line. Harp was not having a good game. He had a little bit of a stiff back this morning, and he wasn't moving the way he can move, and Michael had to move over and take Reggie Miller for the second half, or for the yeoman part of that second half for most of the minutes. He did a great job on Reggie, and as we shut him down a little bit, at least in the second half. Scotty gave us great effort, but had a poor shooting night, but he gave us the effort we needed on the boards and moved the ball to the open people, and that was very important for us in this game.
Phil, were you very worried about?
Great offensive rebounding team for a long time, and you never play a lot of big guys. How do you do it?
Well, we'd like to think it's part of our offense. It's part of the reason why we do well is that we have people around the boards, and we have a sense of being there in shots and knowing when the shot's going to come. But then you got to factor in the guy like Dennis Rodman. However, Dennis didn't have a night tonight. His rebounding stats were not high. But we still stayed after the boards, and it was the boards that was the difference in the game, the numbers of possessions that we needed to force that ball in the hole.
You had been quoted, I guess, this morning in the Sun-Times as saying something to the effect of that it's okay to lose this game. Was that questioned at all in the locker room before tonight's game?
No, I didn't say it's okay to lose. I said you may lose. You may lose this game, but the effort is what you have to play with, not the fear of losing. And, I thought we came out in the first quarter, and we were standing around, and they came out with, I think they scored 10 of their first 11 possessions. They just kept coming at us and put us in the hole, and we had to get up and start playing. And we were able to match defensively because we got some turnovers, and we were able to come down and get some scores.
Phil, you mentioned
Tony came out and had a real exceptional shooting quarter. Was Indiana really paying much attention to him? Because it seemed to me that Tony kind of drifted to open spots and put himself in position to receive the ball.
Well, the effect of Dale Davis having to play Tony is, one end it's devastation if he's in the post and Tony's on the post, but the other end, if Tony's hitting his shot, it's difficult for Dale Davis to get out and guard him. And that's the thing that we reaped the benefits of that tonight. We didn't on the 6th game when Dale Davis had 19 points. But it's just too difficult when Michael's penetrating for their big guys to hang tight, and we were able to find penetration that made their defense collapse and get to the ball to the open shooters.
Phil, you mentioned you about Dennis's lackluster play and it possibly carrying over to the next series.
Well, I'm not that concerned with it. I think that Dennis comes to play, and I think that, he's struggling with coming off the bench and accepting what the role is right now. And, he'll have a different role in this next series, and it's going to be his turn to shine. And if we're going to win it, he's going to have to play great.
Michael, you talked about the last, in the previous series, how the bench for Indiana was such a big factor. Did you do something different defensively against their ball players off the bench that made such a difference? They weren't such a factor?
Well, we just decided that we were going to have to play best real hard coming off those screens and make him have to make some passes under duress because he is a small fella, and get on over top of him and make sure that he can't get an open look to hit the open man. And he got struggling with the ball a couple times, and Steve really bellied him up and made it difficult for him. And he did get a couple baskets, but that really didn't hurt us in that regard. Jalen Rose, I thought, played well the second half. He just didn't have enough touches, but I thought he played well.
Kukoc had no shots in the fourth quarter. Did they just lose track of them? Or?
They came in with McKee. They went smaller in many instances, and McKee's a great defender and can play on the outside, and they started paying attention to Tony, obviously.
Phil, in your nice peculiar situation, were you concerned with getting down and what it might do pressure-wise to your team?
No. We called an early timeout. We talked a little bit about the shots we missed. We'd missed 4 or 5 free throws at that point. as we started out, and we'd missed a couple easy ones inside. Michael, a flip shot at the basket. Scotty had a penetration that didn't go for him. And, you know, those little things will happen. You just can't get discouraged. We talked a little bit about staying aggressive in the game.
Phil, can you give us your impression now of being the so-called chaser? You're going into Utah, less rest. You don't have the home court advantage. You've always been in the opposite position.
Well, we have, except the year we played Phoenix, been in another situation, and obviously that year was a unique year in which we won both the opening games coming in. We're two teams that tied at the regular season, 62 wins. You know, thinking about Utah, they played very well this season. I think that their bench is very similar to Indiana's bench. I think this is a good preparatory series for us as far as the type of matchups, the type of energy the bench gives them, the relief they get from their bench players. It's a team that's got much more poise and moxie than a lot of teams in the league because of their veterans. And the matchups are going to be very difficult for us. Stockton, Malone, obviously, and then some of their players coming off the bench have played very well in the playoffs.
Phil, going into Wednesday, they will have been off a week and a half. You'll have 2 days between games. Does that maybe even give, some people are going to think it gives them an edge. Does it maybe give you an edge in that you've been playing and you might be in the flow of some things?
Well, we'll see about that. We are very curious to find out how we're going to recover. We're going to have 2 days off. That's not a lot of time. But then again, we're going to be playing hard, and we're going to, you know, be battle toughened, because this is what happens when you play all the time. Utah runs a great fast break, and they move the ball up and down the court quickly, and it's going to be, you know, if we're fatigued and can't get up and down in transition, it's going to hurt us in that type of a game.
Phil, was this
Even for a second, when it was so close that you might lose and that all of this might come to an end?
I never thought about it. I never considered it, and once the game was on, it was just straight ahead until the end. I thought this was going to go down to another last shot game, and unfortunately we got a few rebounds and we got a few breaks and made some, you know, big defensive stops down the stretch.
Phil, was this 7-game series and the way it played out more of a victory of wills than of basketball supremacy, one side over the other, do you think?
I think it was two teams testing each other out at their weakest points and trying to find the areas in which we could exploit them, in which there was a balance of give and take during the whole series. Obviously, you know, we won a couple games by bigger margins than they did, but it was by and large their ability in Indiana to play under duress that made them capable of coming and putting us to a 7th game. And that is, you know, this is a team that's been to 2 7th games in 7-game series in the last 3 years, and they've been successful. They beat the Knicks in 1, and they end up losing to Orlando that same year in the 7th. But they're a team that has had this type of experience, and we felt that the poise was not going to be an issue with their team. And they had a lot of poise, and they didn't play under the pressure that we felt we put them under in the first 2 games.
So what did you learn about your club in this series that you can apply against Utah?
Well, I learned something about our bench that, you know, stick with our bench and not back away from it. You know, Judd Bushler, a guy that came off the bench, he gave us 5 rebounds in short minutes, didn't score, but had a great effect, I thought, in the ball game just with hustle. Steve Kerr, who was maligned a little bit about his defense on best, played great defense tonight on best and hit some big shots. And I think that's, you know, what I have to consider and keep considering is that, you know, we can still find ways to win ball games, even though sometimes we feel we're a little short-handed.
The more we try not to think about something, the more it's going to sneak back in. Does it sneak back in on you guys now and then?
What part?
The situation, the fact that, you know, it could be goodbye here for everybody.
Well, we're not going to be playing anymore after, what, June 20th? I think that's our 17th or 18th. That'll be it. So we've got, you know, we've got another series. We've got new life. And it's playing basketball now that concerns us.
So you think Dennis is struggling with the role of coming off the bench. Might you have to start him at the expense of Tony Kukoc so he can regain his effectiveness?
I told Tony I was going to put him on Malone and let Dennis play Foster just to see. Tony's been a great post-up defender. We'll see how it goes. But that was just, you know, sadistic humor that I have.
For the most part, he worked the Bulls this entire series.
Yes.
I was surprised that you didn't use Randy Brown for his defense purposes to put him on Travis Best. Why didn't you do that?
Well, we felt that at the other end of the court, we really needed the offensive presence of Steve Kerr. He holds their defense. They have a great swarming or sink defense, which really clogs the middle. And if Michael's going to penetrate, or Scotty's going to penetrate and take the ball to the basket, we must have at least one of their defenders that has to pay attention to a guy like Steve Kerr to keep that middle open. And Steve gives us that opportunity because of his threat. Now, he hasn't had a lot of three-pointers, but tonight we really emphasized finding him when the defense collapses. And, you know, he made the shots when he had the opportunity.
Were you surprised when Michael guaranteed this?
I didn't know if he guaranteed it. I think he qualified that somehow or other. When I asked him, he said, the only guarantees I have is to my wife. He said, we're going to win the game, though. But he didn't say he guaranteed it.
Michael played heavy minutes during the last 3 games of this series. And particularly in the fourth quarter, he guarded Reggie Miller throughout the quarter, and Miller only shot once, had 1 shot attempt. Were you concerned any time during the fourth quarter about how the fatigue factor might affect him down the stretch?
We called a timeout. We had I can't remember, it was a 5 or 4 point lead. It was right before the 2-minute obligatory timeout that would have gone to Indiana, and I decided I had to take a timeout at that point because I thought we were tired. And knowing that there would be more timeouts during that stretch, I knew that they would get a breath and come back and be okay. So I wasted one just in terms of fatigue and collection, you know, poise. And I thought that we responded not favorably in that particular play, but beyond that, we had the energy down the stretch, and we had the energy to finish the game.
Lost in all this is that Michael became the all-time scoring leader for the postseason. Can you talk about the significance of that?
Well, he's been the greatest, and playoffs have been his showcase. And, you know, I think that, you know, today, although it wasn't a feature for Michael, this is not maybe one that he's going to say was his greatest playoff game. It still shows the emphasis and the energy that he gives to this ball club, and the attack mode that he carries as a basketball player, and the energy that he gives us as a basketball team, the direction and the intensity. When we went in at halftime, Mike was real upset because we had a 9-point opportunity to lead, and going at halftime, we came out with a 3-point lead, and he gave the guys a little lecture just about poise, control. We had a technical late in that period, and that's the kind of thing that Michael gives the team besides his on-the-court effort, and I think that's just indicative of the winner he is.
What about the crowd effect on the game today?
They got there. The crowd was here, and I thought they made some great calls, great spurts for us in the second period, especially when we were on a comeback trail. I thought their energy really kept us going. Am I going to get any relief out there, or are you guys just going to keep...
Free throw shooting.
Oh, no, don't talk to me about that. It was abominable. This is one of the nights that, you know, guys will like to forget about their free throw shooting. Even Luke, who was shooting 95%, missed one tonight. And that just, I think, carried some of the energy of what this game is about.